Just before taking questions, I want to share a few thoughts from my visit. As you know, the initial stages of the response to this incident are giving way to the longer-term investigation and the safety policy work that we do. I'm here to work and was able to spend time with our personnel here at the derailment site, including our FRA, Federal Rail Administration, and PHMSA, the Pipeline and Hazardous Safety Material Administration, who are engaging with NTSB. Just to be very clear about this, FRA and PHMSA are part of the U.S. Department of Transportation. NTSB is not. They're independent for very good reason. We respect their independence, but we also work with them to make sure that we're responding to their findings and that we're supporting their fact-finding work. I was also able to spend time with a number of federal personnel, including EPA, FEMA, and others who have been doing phenomenal work from day one in order to make sure that this community is supported. That includes, again, not just the presence that our department had from the early hours of this situation, but the presence of public health personnel, environmental personnel, and emergency management response personnel. Spent time with not just federal folks, but state leaders, including Ohio Emergency Management, and local leaders from the county and from the community, council members, and the mayor. Had a good conversation with the mayor, who is clearly very focused on supporting this community and helping the community move forward, as well as other village staff, including the village manager, waterworks leader, and the fire chief. And I just have to say the resilience, the resolve, and the decency of this community as they have gone through both this disaster's immediate impacts and the swirl of national and international and political attention that's come their way. Their decency and resolve has been inspiring. I also want to make sure to acknowledge something that happened yesterday. A plane crash took the lives of 5 people working for CTEH. That is a firm that is involved in this cleanup. I met with some of their personnel earlier today who are mourning the loss of their friends and colleagues, some of whom were involved in this response as they were on their way to another one. And NTSB is involved in the immediate response to that crash. But my heart goes out to the people who are already in a very stressful situation here and are now having this added pain and facing it in a way that, again, is inspiring and moving. I also spoke today with the chair of the NTSB, Jennifer Hamady. As you know, they have released their initial factual report. Their final work on this will take a while to come out. But having these factual findings is an important step toward being able to move on to the phase of policymaking. And while we will, of course, wait for their analysis and recommendations at the end of the full process to make certain judgments, we will not wait for that process to run its course to continue doing everything that we can to raise the bar on rail safety and to hold people accountable. And that's the other part of what my visit here is about, to make sure that we can assess how to drive the best safety improvements across our national transportation system. And to any national political figure who has decided to get involved in the plight of East Palestine, I have a simple message, which is I need your help, because if you're serious about this, there is more that we could do to prevent more communities from going through this. We've laid out a set of actions that DOT has taken, some of which were already underway, others which we're adding to the agenda. A set of things that the railroad industry needs to do, including better informing communities when hazmat is coming to them, something I've talked to the governor about and strongly agree with him on, and including steps to take care of their workers and their system. And things that we need Congress in order to work on. And again, anyone in Congress who cares about these issues, they are welcome to come to the table and work with us to get things done. So anybody who is interested in that, I'm going to hold them to that. But we're also holding ourselves to the highest standard in terms of the work that we're doing and the work that we're going to continue to do to both respond to this incident and to make sure that we make rail safer for everyone who lives in a community that is close to rail lines and anybody who is involved in freight rail at all. With that, happy to take a few questions.
There's a lot of trauma in this community, a lot of emotion, and as you noted, a lot of politics too. Now that you've seen the wreckage and spoken to the people, was it a mistake not to come here sooner?
You know, what I tried to do was balance two things: my desire to be involved and engaged and on the ground, which is how I am generally wired to act, and my desire to follow the norm of transportation secretaries, allowing NTSB to really lead the initial stages of the public-facing work. I'll do some thinking about whether I got that balance right. But I think the most important thing is, first of all, making sure that the residents here have what they need, something that from our piece of the puzzle, DOT, we were working on from day one, and making sure we do something for the future. We can talk about process, and that's perfectly fair, but I don't want people pointing to process as a way to get away from the fundamental questions of rail safety, regulation, and accountability, and whether we're going to make it tougher or whether we're going to allow it to continue being watered down.